I was just listening one of my favorite bands to one of my favorite bands, APC, A Perfect Circle, and the song I was listening to was Three Libras. What a beautiful song, man. All the songs from that specific album, amazing. Yeah, it's weird, like sometimes how songs and the lyrics could actually reflect a lot of those thoughts or beliefs that you perhaps have. It's crazy to think that at some point, somewhere in this small frame of life that we have, there are other people who are experiencing, if not the same, perhaps worse, of what you are feeling. It's crazy to think that. And then I was seeing people going through their nostalgia where they were remembering how they first listened to this song. One of the guys in the comments was saying he couldn't hear properly and he got a hearing procedure done. And before his hearing procedure, throughout his life, all he could hear whenever he wore the headphones or the earplugs was just some muffled sounds, so his hearing was not good at all. And then once he got that hearing procedure done, he could hear the song with all of its details, the bass, the guitar, the riff, the lyrics, the notes. And people were just going through their memories of how they remember this song when they were close to their loved ones or with their partners. And it's just fascinating to see that, those memories. Like, I was thinking, what are those memories which I'm fond of? But anyway, this is catching up with Wajeeh. This is the 17th, 17th episode, and today is October 26th. It's almost 9:15, 9:08, sorry, 9:08 p.m. So it's night. So I was just reflecting through what were some of my most fondest memories, and one of those memories was not being this not knowing what's out there, not knowing the responsibilities that were always going to befall me and everyone else at some point in their lives. But not knowing that they're coming is almost as good as knowing like they never existed. So there was no pressure or feeling of that, I don't know if people could understand that. But yeah, I would just I would just spend my time. I remember playing Counter-Strike 1.6. this is this is back in 2008, 2007, 2006, around that time. Bro, I spent 2 months, straight up 2 months, just playing CS 1.6, and I wanted to learn how to b-hop. And I did learn how to b-hop, and very freaking well. Very freaking well. I always used to be the top 3 in the scoreboard, which was amazing and fun to see. And I knew all these guys who were, some of them were construction workers, some of them were engineers, and they were from all these different countries. And I couldn't process that even. Now that I think about it, they were from Syria, they were from Iraq, they were from Jordan, Turkey. I remember some were from Slav, something with the SLA, somewhere in Europe, Hungary, and then Poland, and there were just so many different people from all these different places, and we were just playing, all of us. And I was reading up on like all these distractions, essentially the human experience or how we are made up and how distractions work is they distract you away from the pain or the struggle, where you subconsciously do this, where let's say you're sitting at work, and I was hearing this with I haven't finished the podcast yet. It was what's his name, Stephen, the Diary of a CEO, and this podcast was with Nir Eyal. Nir Eyal, that's his name. And they were discussing this. The reason why you get distracted is because just want to run away from the pain or from not doing what you are not enjoying. It's like the pursuit of delayed gratification in a way. And the pursuit for delayed gratification is always this, you just need to run away from it because it's boring and painful and you don't want to do it. And you could add in a lot of different reasons for that. And one of the biggest things I was thinking about is beliefs as well. So beliefs are something that affect you. There was a study done which these guys were discussing, and the people who believed in a certain thing actually got to experience all the effects, side effects, good effects, bad effects of their own beliefs. And then that just comes right back to the point where neuroplasticity, where you, being a human, and your brain is able to adapt and experience whatever you believe in, which is crazy to think about. You could just create essentially, it's almost where if you visualize strong enough that you don't have a leg after a certain point, you're not gonna feel that leg and you're gonna start to adapt in that way. I know this is a pretty stupid example, and you could apply that to a lot of different things, and you could take belief and the placebo thing as well. It was a very famous study where people with knee pain, arthritis, they were given these pills and they were told that once you eat these pills, you're not going to have any pain. Not all of them, but 15 to 35 or some 45% of people actually started improving and having less pain in their knees. Sorry, I'm about to just sneeze. Was just coming, but it didn't. Anyway, and well, about knee cartilages, this is something recent. The guy, knee over toes or toes over knees, it's clearly shown that you can regrow your cartilages in your knees, which is amazing. You know, not a lot of people think about that, and that just brings us back to this point where it's like, so for all the things that we were believing that we can't, we can, right? There's multiple different treatments now for cancer as well. That's a really good research. Not really good research, I mean, a really good studies showing that ivermectin, if I'm right, ivermectin or the parasite drug that's curing cancer. So the horse medication, something like that. I'm not sure the exact name of it, but and there's just terminal cancer patients who are showing signs of recovery, and it's amazing, you know, it's amazing. You know, memories, man, it's a funny thing. Even though those times have passed, somehow you could relive those moments. If you think about it, that's just like traveling back in time. But there's a give and take as well, like you're spending your current time going back to the thing that you have already experienced, but maybe it's not worth it, perhaps. You might want to come back in this time, in this space, in this moment, and look for something different to experience. Because who knows, it might be better than what you perhaps felt before, in a way. So, yeah, I was thinking of this. There was there were certain beliefs that I was looking through, especially with our modern thinking, the supposedly modern thinking. And I wrote it down here somewhere. Yeah, here it is. Like, nowadays, there's this belief that certain people, if they want to die in battle, or they have this urge to do things out of the norm, which look violent and extreme, they are considered bad. But then you look at someone, let's say a person who wants to die in battle or die fighting, looks like a weird and a violent person from the modern viewpoint of this world right now. And you look at someone who dies for his love or dies protecting his love, is someone who looks like a hero now. This is a pretty interesting concept where you could villainize one person and you could make the other person look really good and great. Meanwhile, both of these people have their own morals and their own ethics. Who's to say who's right? Because both of them are right in their own way. This guy's dying for his love, for whatever, and this guy's dying for, the rush of the battle in a way, or he just wants to die a manly death in a way. Dying on the battlefield is, I feel like, still something pretty honorable, right? You're dying for something. Your life isn't just something you would give for, right? But yet you are dying on the battlefield. That just speaks volumes that this person died fighting. And then people could just mix up you could play all sorts of games with just taking one sentence and adding shit behind it and adding shit in front of it and making it look bad, but not looking at but not actually looking at from that guy's perspective. That was his dying wish, you know. So give me a second. I need to freaking sneeze. Yeah, man, that freaking. There was some fucking dust from I don't know where. This crescent moon is sprinkling dust from somewhere. It got in my nose and it was just annoying me. Yeah, I had a nice blast of phlegm and I'm good. There's sore throat going around, and otherwise it's all good. I'm pretty much recovered, like 90, 95%, 90% from the shenanigans, and stepping into the next part of the experience, pretty much really looking forward to having conversations with different people. I think you could learn from everyone. That's something I believe. You could learn something if you really wanted to from anyone, in all aspects. That's what I mean. Doesn't have to be one certain aspect, but it could be anything. That's the whole point. And yeah, the reason why I was rambling about, like, because I saw this, the 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 recent trend for men all around the world, it's almost like they're softening us up, like they're tenderizing us. It's weird. Not that things have to be violent or things have to be enraged or burn everything down or shit like that, but men are men. And I feel like men bring change, but if men are not being men, who's bringing a change? Who's bringing the adjustments? And I do get it, not all of them are good and not all of them are bad. Let's accept that. But why, as a general, like, why is everyone getting this dumbing down effect, which I discussed before as well? And men specifically, that's what pisses me off. Like, I keep seeing these men who don't stand on their morals, who don't stand on their beliefs. Like, the moment they step into this pressure or this opposite argument from another person, they just go back and they're like, oh yeah, you're right. I'm not saying start a fight, but if you don't even agree on the basic principles, your own morals and values, and you keep changing those, then you're malleable, bro. You're just freaking vulnerable to any freaking agenda out there. You're standing on a piece of wood in the ocean. You're just not stable on anything. You're standing on water, which is like, you're not standing on water. You're just at the mercy of the waves. As soon as the waves start, you start drowning. There's no there's no solid ground for you. And the solid ground you had, the wood, it's gonna fucking drift away or just come hit you right at your face. And that's a bad example, but either you gotta become a fucking Aquaman or some shit, or yeah. We evolved all the way from like having wars, like millions of people would just die. They would just die. And then more will be there. And imagine if, like, there were no wars, there was no sickness or death, how would the world look like right now? Will it be overpopulated as we think? Or how would it look, you know? Would you be at freaking Mars by this time if we didn't have sickness or death? Not, let's not say death, but in general, we didn't have this many um, vulnerabilities, you know, like sickness and wars and all of this stuff where millions of people died, or natural disasters. So many different possibilities. Yeah. So that thing pisses me off where you see these men and they are out there, like a lot of them are out there, where they're not, I don't know if they could be called men, you know, you can call them um, simps or boys. I don't think a real man is good. You can't like him if you look at if you look at him from um, a closed perspective. But if you look at it from a wider perspective, I think you will come to appreciate the harder choices that sometimes men make. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. That's pretty much it. I don't have much. I had this one guy who was on Instagram. I saw that reel and I was really fascinated by it. The guy said, like, he said, what if laziness is a habit of thinking about the cost of the things, of the effort, instead of thinking about the payoff?
Think about a habit of thinking about the effort instead of thinking about the outcome.
Is it essentially speaking about the long-term gratitude and how people miss it? This is the video from the channel and stuff. Yeah. And there was another thing, the signal to noise ratio. That's something that I was learning about as well. The noise is something that's distracting, and the signal is something that you have to get done. And then you have to increase the signal, aka increase the to do things, and reduce the noise, the distractions, the things that come up. Sounds sounds complicating. It's a bit hard to do in a way, but definitely it's doable. Something that I should be getting on to as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it from me. Um, didn't have much material today. Just had a couple of things to do and pretty much done for the day. Yeah, that's it. I'm gonna see you guys tomorrow. Not the most exciting conversation, but hopefully the next days. It's life. Not everything's that good this time, but we'll see you next time. Take care.